Hey guys, how you doing? This is JP Saricolia coming to you once again with another episode of Age of Heroes, my podcast. I thank you for the time that you spend watching my lengthy videos on YouTube and also to listening to the podcast. My desire is always to communicate. My desire is to have time with you and spend this time to talk about things that really matter, things that can uplift you also, but also that can makes us think. I think that's important to think. I think we are living in a society that tends to just follow the status quo. We live in a time where it's easier not to think because we constantly thinking. You know, we get up in the morning, we go to work, we do all those things, and it's a constant thinking process. So when we get tired of thinking and we just want to go home and we just want to unwind, we just want to release, all that stress, and we go into our gaming setup, or we like to go and talk about collectibles, or we like just to start collectibles, or even do any type of physical activity just to let go of that pressure. And it's good that we do all those things. However, thinking is important. It's part of our process. It's part of what we do on a daily basis. It's something that we need to constantly enforce in our lives. And sometimes it's all about thinking not only the wrong things, but also thinking on the positive things. It's about just readjusting the way we think. Yes, throughout the day, maybe you have to work about clients. You have to think about clients, about the business, about profits, about numbers, about how to accomplish goals. But, in this moment, it's about thinking about bigger things, about thinking about yourself, about what your beliefs are and what's important. So this is why I really do this podcast, because it's about really expressing ideas. They are revelatory and can change our lives, or at least our point of view, and makes us grow, because that's important. Growth is important in our lives. So now let's get into definitely today's podcast. As we go in this week, of course, we're getting ready for Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel, definitely everybody's excited about. I am excited. Every Marvel movie or any movie, superhero movie that is coming to the big screen makes me excited. I'd really like to go and watch it. So I'm really looking forward to this new iteration of the Marvel Universe and this new installment. We continue on our way to Avengers Endgame, so I'm really excited for that. So really looking forward to see what is going to be brought to the table by Captain Marvel. And of course, anything that has to do with Captain Marvel also brings Brie Larson into the forefront. The truth of the matter is this, and I want to talk about it today because as we get in closer to the day, as we're getting closer to that, maybe you watch this over this weekend, or maybe not this weekend, but perhaps you're going to watch it next week or in 2 weeks, or whenever you feel that when you can do it, you'll watch it. But the thing is this, I want to bring this up because there's been a lot of speculation. I can tell you one thing, from all the movies that Marvel has produced, I don't think that none has been as controversial before the premiere date than Captain Marvel. It's been a lot of controversy in regards to it. And a lot of that has to do with unfounded claims. I'm a big defender of Captain Marvel. I'm a big defender of Brie Larson. I have nothing against her. I don't consider her to be the best actress in the world. But at the same time, she's very young. So, I believe that it's important to give people the benefit of the doubt. Sometimes, what our assumptions are can limit our view of the world. Every person has an opportunity to present something. And sometimes I can tell you one thing. There are movies that the trailers are awesome, are fantastic, and the movie is just lackluster. And on the other way around, there's movies that have a really lackluster trailer, but the movie is fantastic. So at the end of the day, the only way that we can decide, and we need to reserve our judgment, it's just to wait and see till the last minute. Until the curtain drops, then we'll know for sure if the movie is good or not. But the bottom line is this: Marvel hasn't disappointed me. Even the movies that have scored probably the poorest of all within the universe have been good and entertaining. So I have no doubt that this could be the same. Even if it's at that level, I'm still gonna be satisfied with it because it has something. And I do like the character. I always like Carol Danvers. I always like Captain Marvel, or I always like the character. And definitely, of Of course, this is a more revised version of Captain Marvel, the newer Captain Marvel, the new Mrs. Marvel or Carol Danvers, not the one, back in the 70s, Captain Marvel. This is totally different. So, I have to adapt to it in the storyline. Whatever they do here has nothing really to do, it has probably like 25% inspiration of the comics and 75% it's just their own inspiration. And it's fine. I'm okay with it. It's something that, you have to understand this. Once I come to watch the Marvel Cinematic movies and the Marvel Cinematic Universe, have to put my cap aside of a comic book reader, and I leave it like that. That's a different universe. This is an entirely different universe and with entire different rules based on the comics, but it's still different in everything. And I have to kind of adapt to it within the realm, within the confinements of that universe. So I'm all for it. I don't have a problem with it. However, as you know, the fact that Brie Larson is part of this has brought a lot of controversy. And there's a lot of things going on online, a lot of hateful speech. I'm going to use this expression. There's a lot of hateful speech towards her. And I'm not here to be the white knight in shining armor trying to defend her honor. I think ultimately she's going to prove herself on the big screen. Whether she does it or not, that's besides the point. I'm enjoying the journey. I'm enjoying the films, and I'm going to enjoy this film. Whether it's not the best or not, I'm still going to support it because I love what Marvel has done. I love what Kevin Feige has done with his team throughout over 10 years, and they haven't disappointed me yet. Doesn't mean that they can disappoint me. They can disappoint me, and some movies have been a bit disappointing, but not necessarily to the point to say that I'm just giving up and throwing the towel. I'm just in it 100%, and I'll support this franchise 100%. Now, I've seen so many excerpts, and it's disappointing to see that we live in the time and age, because people don't feel the need, because they say, well, it's all about political correctness, it's all about trying to support feminist agenda, and all of that. You know my stance in regards to political agenda. You probably have watched my podcast or listen to my podcast where I talk about it. The movies have always have that political agenda. Like I was talking to my wife the other day, and she pointed out very clearly, movies are created by people. They're not created by robots, So, people have opinions. People have their own personal views of the world. So it's normal that people inject their views into what they create. I'm a Christian. Everything I do comes from a Christian standpoint. I believe in faith. I believe in God. So everything I do, everything I say, I inject that into the conversation because it's my personal belief. It's my core belief. It's part of my core belief system. So people always inject their life. Just because I don't agree with certain things doesn't mean that they don't have the right to express it. And movies have always been, the medium has always expressed ideas and beliefs, and people express who they are because they pour themselves into those films, into the stories they're creating. When you go back to the comics, and if you probably watch, the last weekend I had my book review of Captain America, Golden Age Captain America, a phenomenal book. And I talk about how that movie is political, and he's talking about not a movie, that book is political. And we're talking about a book that was done, comic book stories that were created back in the 40s. And they already has taken a stand in a time where even the U.S. was not at war with Germany. And a lot of people were divided in regards to if they wanted to go to war because they were a big German-American population that they didn't feel too different, that they actually were supportive of the Nazis before the Nazis became the monsters they became. And there was also a big Jewish population in America, Jewish American. So comic books were not political. They were trying not to be political because it didn't want to offend their readership. They just want to be in a middle ground and neutral about something. But Jack Kirby and Joe Simon, they stood their ground and they said, we're going to do this. And Goodman, as the editor, as the owner of Timely Comics, allowed them to do it. And they extended ground, and that changed comic books forever. And it also changed the medium. And people came to their sense. A lot of people say, we're going to stand for what is right. And that's how a year after, you have Pearl Harbor. And then, of course, we were at war with Germany, with the Axis powers. So the thing is this. Yes, comics are important. Not saying that it was Captain America that really took us to war. It was not. It was the actions that happened at Pearl Harbor. But the reality is that before we even were at thinking of war, there were already people They were having, I believe, they were having a stand. They have a political stand in regards to the matter, and they expressed that political stand. That it was social commentary at play here. So when people say, well, comics have never been like that, I'm sorry, but your history of comics is skewed. You definitely don't have an understanding of comics. You're not talking about, with reality, because you need to look at the history of comics, from the beginning. The other day, even Neil Adams was pointing out some things, political views. People were saying, well, Neil Adams, you need to concentrate on what you do, which is right. You don't know anything about politics. But, people were saying, I'm disappointed with you, Neil Adams. I used to love your art. And I say, I'm sorry. If you claim to be a fan of Neil Adams and you don't know his political views, you don't know his stance, but I follow Neil Adams for years, and he has political views. Some might be a bit twisted for some, or some might be a bit crazy for others. But at the end of the day, he's a man that has views. I respect his art. I might not agree with all his political views, but I agree with some. But he injects that into his art. He's always done it throughout the 70s. When you go back to Batman and Neil Adams era, when he was doing this stuff, he was, doing the art, all that stuff. You go back into when he was done the thing with Green Lantern and Green Arrow, very political, very social. So yes, yes, if people miss that is because they choose not to look at it. But the term is there, and the important, and I think I really extended myself on this because I really wanted to talk about this as following what the title says, the need for representation. It's important. Representation is important. And yes, I do believe that, Captain Marvel, particularly, there's a stand in regards to feminists. It's got to give strength to women. And I believe that many women and many young women and many girls are going to watch that movie, and they're going to feel empowered because of the actions of Brie Larson in the movie. And yes, people say, well, that's not good. Well, I'm sorry, it's not good. But, Captain America, it's a clear example of manhood. Why is it that we cannot have a woman that does that? Unless you think women are just slaves to the kitchen and that's what they need to do, instead of just trying to be heroes. But at the end of the day, women are men are heroes. And a movie is just a movie. She's a paid actress just to play in a part. But the movie has a message that has been created by the writers, the people that have a vision and they express that vision. You might not agree with that vision, but the vision is there. It still has a message and has a purpose. So there's need for representation. Yeah, we need women with representation. I was talking the other day with my daughter. She was talking to me that she even told me, Dad, I wish I was a man. It would be easier to find a job. I can do construction. I can do all kind of things. It's opportunities are there. And I told her, that's not the case. The world is changing. There's, you as a woman, you're not limited because the man of the world, because the world says so, because it says that you can do this or you cannot do that, because you can. You can do it. As long as you put your mind into it and you put the effort. There's no impossibilities for you. And you know what? I don't have a son. I have a daughter. And, I never knew how the world, and I mentioned this before, I never knew how difficult the world is for women. That we are limited women, what they can do, what they can accomplish, because we have this mindset that has been created in us that this is the way things should be. And that needs to be broken. At least that slavery mentality that we have in our minds, that it enslaves us to really have a meaningful relationship with women. To even have an understanding of women. When I'm married to my wife, it's not like she's under me. Just because she shares my last name as we do here in America, doesn't mean that she belongs to me. We are partners. She's my partner in crime. I'm her partner in crime. We do things together. And we come into an agreement to things. We do everything together. That should be, and that's always the goal for any marriage and for anything. I think this movie has an agenda. Yes, it does. I don't have a problem with it because I believe that it's important to stand it and to present it. The same way Black Panther had probably an agenda and he presented without really hitting you in the head. Some people find it offensive because their own moral code, because of their own personal problems and perhaps their own guilt, even though they might not express it. But there's something there that needs to be addressed. We're learning in the process. We're learning. It's okay to be reminded that we're not perfect. If we think we're perfect, then we miss the forest for the trees. We are going to fail to the growth process. We're never going to advance. We're never going to move up from that mentality that we have, and we're never going to accomplish anything in life because we're not willing to learn. We're not willing to accept somebody else's point of view. And I believe that this move, the Captain Marvel, is going to change some point of views, and it's going to bring some questions into the table, and it's okay because we need representation. I was the other day I was going through through Facebook and some page, and some people were talking about, of course, and some side were pointed out the importance of course, we are in, African American month, Black month, African American Heritage Month. So people are really trying to be supportive and talking about, I think it was February, now in March, I think it's March, I don't remember, I'm lost, but talking about the importance of representation. And somebody made a comment that I found it very naive. Say, well, I don't care who makes the games, because it was a gaming site, and the gaming site was saying we need to support blacks in the gaming community. So support games are developed by blacks too. So people say, well, I don't care who makes them, because I just play the games. And it's true. We all play the games, whether it's black, white, Chinese, and all that. But I think people are missing the point of what the person is posting in this page in Facebook. The importance of supporting those that might not be as supported. If you look at the gaming industry, the vast majority of the people, of course, are not African American or less minorities involved in the process. So you support them too because they need support. It's important to represent. Representation is important. I would like to see a Hispanic superhero movie at some point. When? We don't know. We don't have the representation there. But there's plenty of Caucasian. There's plenty, and there's even blacks. But, there's plenty of that. But representation matters. It does matter. Women, so because people want representation, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with one representation. There's nothing wrong with one. That everyone wants to be represented at some point. You want to see yourself reflected and your struggles and your life and your challenges and your dreams. Because you want someone that you feel connection with, more than just a connection, a mental, emotional connection. You want physical connection. You want something that you can say, I can relate because you and I, we're on the same page. We understand each other. There's always going to be differences. I'm Hispanic. I have Hispanic ideas, mindsets, customs, things that I do, even emotional traits that has to do with my race and the people that I belong. I won't say, well, Hispanic is not a race, it's just say this and that. No, yes, but we are a mixture of races. So because of who I am, really everything comes and pours out into what I do. As you can see, I'm very passionate. Even when I speak sometimes really, really fast, and I have to hold myself not to speak fast, or I have to kind of, and sometimes I speak, even with my accent, sometimes I speak so fast, or I'm thinking too fast. So I use a lot of expressions, like a lot of things that I hang in the bound, like words like, that I say a lot, and I get annoyed when I watch the videos because I say that, a lot. And I'm trying to refrain myself for saying it because I'm thinking too fast. And sometimes the words are coming out not as fast enough because, of course, English is not my first language. But, this is the thing. Representation matters for anyone. And, I'm okay with Captain Marvel, in this case, Brie Larson, representing a big chunk of the population, a female population. I'm glad that she is there. I'm going to enjoy the movie. I've seen so many hateful comments online, videos saying, Brie Larson killed the Marvel universe. The cinematic universe, it's stupid stuff. Just the sad part is that you watch those videos, or you watch that, the thumbnails, and there's multiple followers. People like him and commenting, and all you see is hate comments and hate comments and hate comments. People talking their hate, expressing their hate, their frustration, their personal lives. And I feel so bad that people feel that way, because at the end of the day, we all have mothers, we all have sisters. Maybe you're not married, but you have a mother, you have a sister. We a husband, we have wives, we have girlfriends. We have, daughters, granddaughters. So the truth of the matter is that if you don't feel for it, then you have a problem that needs to be addressed in your life, and you need change. Yes, we need representation. She represents women, but we also need representation in other areas. We need more Asians in movies. We need more blacks. We need more Hispanics. We need people from all different races, ethnicities, groups. It's important to do that. It is important to find that, and people want that and crave for that, for the rights to be respected and to be acknowledged. So by all means, I'm going to enjoy the movie, and you should do the same. Whether the movie is bad or not, just go and watch it, and then you can make judgment. But before the movie is out, you're already making judgment. That really shows a poor vision that you have. You're limited by your own thinking, by your own, fears, by your own prejudice. And you need to change that mindset. in order to grow. We all have prejudice. I do have prejudice, and I said that before. There are things that there's people I feel more comfortable with than others. But, if I want change in my life, I need to accept that there's prejudice there, that I have a problem against certain people because of certain things. And when I accept that, then I can grow. Then I can accept that. I can learn, and admitting that is the first step, for growth in our lives. So what do you think? I'm really excited. I don't know if you are. I don't know if you feel comfortable with the whole thing. At the end of the day, I can tell you one thing from the bottom of my heart. Whatever happens in this movie, it's not going to change the world around you. It's not going to change the world, make things better. But it's a good step in the right direction, at least in the entertainment world. Now, what will happen after that? We don't know. But at the end of the day, it is your choice, it's your call, it's your decision. Don't let your decision be dictated by other people's opinions. Make your own mind. So once again, thanks for listening to the podcast. Really enjoy the time. Hope you're having a great week, and I hope the best for you always. That's my prayer. So God bless you, and thanks for listening. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. If you're watching this on YouTube, if you're listening through iTunes, Stitcher, or Spreaker, please share that podcast with your friends, with your family, co-workers. So this channel can grow. And also follow me on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. All the links are down below, and please consider supporting this channel financially. You can do that through Patreon, but also through PayPal. Again, the links are down below. So once again, God bless you, and I'll talk to you again. Bye-bye.